Alright, one more of these physics videos. Sorry, I know, too many videos lately. I don't know, got a lot of stuff going on in my head, and it's just, I hate wasting, if I put it away for next week, I'll just forget half the shit that's on my mind, and then that's no good. So anyway, back to the physics shit. I want to clarify some things. I guess I should read the post and talk to people who are misunderstanding what I'm saying, but I think they understand more than they're saying. But anyway, all right. I want to get to this uncertainty principle and the two-slit thing again. All right, so first the uncertainty principle. A lot of people make something out of this, like, this Heisenberg guy declared that we can't see the position and the velocity of a photon at the same time. We can only detect one or the other, not both, blah, blah, blah. And his whole point is that you can't do it in a classical way, the way we understand how you do things, which is, look, the pen, I see the pen. Right? Seeing the pen, I don't disturb the pen because I can deal with wavelengths of light that aren't going to fucking bounce this all over the place because it has a wide wavelength. You see how wide the pen is? Well, light can have a wavelength that's really tiny, so it can hit this thing and doesn't cause any problem. It's not because wavelength has a lot to do with frequency, has a lot to do with velocity and the force that light will have an impact on something. But the point is, if you're going to look at something really, really tiny, like a photon or an electron, it's really tiny. All right, so you have to have a really high, really tight frequency. And as soon as you do that, that means you have a lot of power in the beam that you're going to shine at it. So there's no way you can look at it in a classical sense, because the beam of light you will be looking at it with is going to be so intense, it's going to fracture the motherfucking shit out of the thing you're looking at. So it's not that complicated. It's just a concession that particle physics changes when you start to get to these small particles, and that there's also this quantum limitation, which means you just can't keep making little tinier pieces of light. There's a point where you can't make a smaller bit. This is the smallest bit you can make, and so there's nothing, and so if you have something made like out of the 4 of the smallest things in the universe, and you throw one of the smallest things at the universe at it to look at it, obviously it's going to be a jarring experience. It's like, if you weigh 150 pounds and I throw 25 pounds at you, you're going to be jarred by the experience. You're not going to be on the same trajectory anymore. It's going to knock you off balance at minimum. And if I throw it at you with that thing, with a velocity of 60 miles an hour, it's probably going to knock your fucking head off. All right, so anyway, that's all the principle is. It's just a concession to the actual physics, but the theoretical, the metaphorical, or the modeling that we can do in our brains is still valid. Atomic particles still have a reality. The fact that we can't measure it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that's the crap people are saying. Like Pyro's implying that somehow the particle can't be anywhere, okay? Because we can't measure it, it can't be. And that's not what the fucking principle is saying. All right? We only end up with a probabilistic measurement because we have to I've made this example before, but it's like if you want to see the speed of a tennis ball flying back and forth, you could lob a very, really slow tennis ball and just hope that you barely rub against it as it goes by, and that'll change the lob of the tennis ball you use to detect it. And so because now the lob has been changed, it won't go its normal lob because it slightly got rubbed up against the other ball and got a different spin put on it. You could detect that it went by. Okay. So my point was that so that's the game. So you could only get some rough idea. You get the idea that the tennis ball went by. You couldn't get an idea exactly where it was, what position it had, so it would be a range of probability that you could narrow it down and say, yes, it went by at this moment in time. It was somewhere around here. All right? But that doesn't mean that the tennis ball was somewhere around here. It wasn't an exact location. We just can't measure it, and it's all about a limitation on our capacity to do a measurement, and that's all it has to do with. So fuck that that bullshit being used as an excuse to say matter's flying all over the fucking place, because it's not, or that it's not in some kind of regular position. All right, now back to the stupid two-slit experiment. This is another fucking problem with the physics. All right, what is, you know, as soon as you detect, even at the conclusion point, you know that can never even be totally precise, because what you're basically measuring is an impact point. So when your stupid electron flies through your slits and ends up at a certain point, we're fracturing it, we're destroying it. But anyway, the detector is a real problem, okay? Because as soon as you start influencing the particle in any way, that influence can be substantial. And so my argument about this whole two-slit experiment, I have lots of arguments about it, but the fact is there's lots of other experiments that I think need to be done, and maybe they have been done. I don't know where to find where they've been done. I'd like to see experiments about if you move the two slits closer to the gun, that would be interesting. What are these plates made out of? How heavy are they? How dense are they? How much of an impact are the slits themselves having on the electrons or photons that you're firing through them? And I was thinking about some kind of simple experiment, like all right, so you got these two slits hanging out here, right? They're right in front of me, these two openings, and I'm going to shoot electrons through them, right? Well, so when I have one slit, it's going to be, I'm going to shoot my gun towards it, and my gun is shooting kind of missing, okay? But it's most of them, 90% of them will go right here in the middle. All right, now if I make two slits, now my gun, 90% of them are hitting the dead space. And the only ones I'm measuring now, the only ones going through a slit, are the periphery electrons or photons, the ones that didn't come out of the gun straight. So they might be already fucked up already. They might already have an influence from the fact that they didn't come out of the gun straight in the first place. So I'm not measuring the same electrons. I'm not measuring the ones that went straight through the middle, and it was the aberrant ones that hit the plate. Now it's exactly the opposite. Now I'm missing the ones that hit the middle, and I'm only measuring the ones that go through the outside of the beam. I mean, these are important things. So let's say I have two slits, and instead of putting detectors on the slits to decide which one the fucking photon or electron went through, well, what if I put a plate between the two slits? All right, and so I have a flat plate here with two slits in it, right? This is really a dopey experiment, but if you get my drift, well, what if I put a plate vertically, and now the gun can only shoot on one side or the other side? I'll guarantee which fucking slit the damn fucking photon or electron will go through, because I have a barrier that's going to prevent electrons from doing anything different than what I intend them to do, which is go through slit A or slit B, right? They can only go through one of the two if I only fire the gun on one side or the other side of a plate. So why did they do that experiment, and what were the results of that experiment? I mean, there's just so many fucking variables here, and there's not very much information. Just all we keep hearing about is two-slit experiment, two-slit experiment. Well, how many variations on the two-slit experiment was done? What happens when you start moving the two slits further apart? What happens if the gun, or the source of electrons, is moved? I mean, these are important questions, and without that information, it's really hard to devise an explanation for the observed phenomenon. And so fuck this bullshit. Fuck using this kind of crappy, shitty science as an excuse for this phantasmagorical, oh, the photon splits in two, and it's in two states at the same time, and it's sitting with a cat in a box somewhere, you know, eating peanut butter sandwiches and all this other fucking crap. It's absolute fucking crap. Yeah, I'm sorry, it just really pisses me off for people to find this crap as an excuse to come up with some sort of uncertainty in the universe. You know, that's another thing. Some people posting, we don't have near enough knowledge to draw any conclusions. And all. No, we know where we came from, you dumb fuckers. We came from a biological fucking evolution. Chemistry evolved, and it finally evolved into a little reproducing machine. And then over 4 billion years, that reproducing little machine acquired faculties abilities and capacities. And we're just the latest variety of it, okay? And we got our electric windows and our CD player and our MP3 players, and we got all this, the bells and whistles and aluminum wheels and, you know, turbocharged engine and all that kind of crap, but it's still the same fucking machine. It's a consuming and reproducing fucking machine. All right, we're just the new variety of cockroach, but we're not doing anything more than feeding on the biosphere like the rest of the motherfucking parasitic little reproducing monsters. All right, and we have enough knowledge to draw that simple conclusion, and the simple conclusion that the dumb fucking universe doesn't have some master plan written in a bunch of photons somewhere. I mean, some kind of great idea. Ooh, the universe will have a, cosmic orgasm in 2012 or something, isn't written under some fucking rock in the universe somewhere by a bunch of photons. There's no innate knowledge in the universe. It's innately stupid. It's only when it fucking goddamn coalesces into something that can do filtering and can filter out the nonsense and the idiocy and can do logic that we come to the awareness that we're part of an idiotic, imbecilic, stupid fucking system. Alright? There's no fucking unicorns, at the Big Bang. There's no God. It's all just a stupid goddamn chemistry. Wake up and smell the shit. Okay. Hey, look at that. I made it under 10 minutes.